Every company's earnings call sounds like a TED Talk hosted by a golden retriever who just discovered confidence. Record growth, record profits, best quarter in company history. The CFO's up there doing the little hand steeple thing. And then you check that same company's careers page, and it's the same 4 job listings that have been up since March. One of which is unpaid, one of which wants 5 years' experience for a role literally called junior associate. Explain that. Actually don't. I will. Sit down. I've been staring at this trying to figure out if I was losing it, because on the surface it makes 0 sense. Stocks up, profits up. CEOs talking about unprecedented momentum, and yet somehow nobody's hiring. Not hiring's a little slow, functionally almost nobody. So either the economy's lying to us, or growing quietly started meaning something completely different than what we were taught. Spoiler, it's the second one, and it's genuinely unhinged once you see the mechanism. Here's the phrase you need, because economists actually named this specific flavor of stuck: no hire, no fire. Sounds like the world's least fun nightclub. Feels like a hostage negotiation both sides secretly enjoy. Companies aren't doing mass layoffs, so it doesn't look like a recession, nobody's writing dramatic headlines, but they've also almost completely stopped bringing new people in. Not growth. Not collapse. A company standing perfectly still, hoping nobody notices it hasn't actually moved in a year. Like that relative who's been between opportunities since 2019 but calls it consulting. One economist described the entire labor market like it got hit with a superhero ice blast. Everything frozen mid-motion. Iconic image. Deeply unfun to live inside of, and I promised myself I wouldn't just vibe post statistics at you. So here are receipts. All of 2025 combined added roughly 584,000 jobs across the entire US economy. For context, 2024 added around 2 million. That's not a slowdown, that's slamming into a wall while the radio keeps playing a song about how great the drive's going. Job growth created more than 70% year over year, while corporate profits were setting records at the same time. Meanwhile, the voluntary quit rate, how many people were confident enough to leave their job for something better, dropped to around 1.8%, the lowest in over a decade. Nobody's job hopping for greener pastures. Everyone's gripping their current desk like it's the last floating door in that one movie, because they've quietly done the math and realized nothing's waiting on the other side except a "we'll circle back" email. So how is growth still happening if basically nobody's getting hired? Here's the part nobody's saying out loud with enough main character energy, so I will. Companies figured out how to grow the output without growing the headcount. That's the whole trick. No rabbit in the hat. The rabbit got automated in Q3. AI isn't mainly walking in and replacing people who already have jobs, contrary to your uncle's group chat energy. What it's actually doing, quietly, is absorbing all the extra work that would have previously meant posting a new position. So instead of hiring 3 new analysts, the existing team gets a chatbot, a dashboard, and one extremely beige HR email about doing more with less. Congrats. You now do the output of 3 people for the salary of 0.6 of a person. And the earnings report calls this efficiency gains. That phrase should scare you way more than it does. Translated honestly, it means we found a way to make fewer people do more work. Please clap. Also, please don't unionize. And it's not evenly spread, which is the actually infuriating part. Surveys found more than 66% of major employers describe themselves as freezing or actively cutting headcount going into 2026. That's not a niche problem. That's most of the corporate landscape sitting on its hands simultaneously. But the pain lands almost entirely on the people trying to get in, not the people already inside. Entry-level and young workers have seen unemployment climb above 9%, more than double the national rate, while everyone already employed is mostly fine, a little bored, a little terrified to switch jobs. But fine, getting their direct deposit like a small, quiet miracle. It's not a labor market collapsing evenly. It's a door slamming shut specifically at the entrance, while everyone already inside goes, wow. Business is great, actually. It's giving, I got mine. The ladder's now decorative. Let's do a quick round of corporate phrase. Honestly translated, because if I don't make this funny, I'm going to start yelling for real. We're prioritizing sustainable, disciplined growth means we're not hiring, and we'd like credit for having a personality trait about it. We're investing in AI-driven efficiency means 3 people are doing the work of 9, and one of them cried in the stairwell on Tuesday. We remain committed to attracting top talent means we posted 1 job in February. It's still up, nobody's looked at it since March. And top talent is basically a live laugh love sign for the careers page. Not financial advice moment. And I say this as a man whose entire strategy is vibes and an iced coffee. None of this means you personally failed some test. This is structural, happening at the top of hundreds of companies simultaneously, not a reflection of your resume font. Which means the old advice, impress them and they'll create a role for you, doesn't hold up in a freeze. Nobody's creating new roles right now, no matter how good your PowerPoint is. The actual move is going where roles already provably exist instead of where you were told they should. Healthcare, skilled trades, government have kept adding jobs through this whole frozen mess, because you cannot currently automate a plumber out of existence. And a tech CEO's keynote will not, in fact, unclog your pipes. On the corporate side, the way in isn't refreshing a job board, like it's a limited sneaker drop. It's finding the team that's already drowning in this efficiency squeeze and showing up as the person who takes a visible chunk of that off their plate. Contract or project-based if you have to, because that's the hiring that's actually still happening. It's just not going through a job board anymore. The other reframe, less comfortable. Staying in a job you don't love right now is a genuinely rational move in a no-hire. No-fire economy, not a failure of ambition. Quit rates are at a decade low for a reason. Everyone's independently done the same math and realized the outside market has almost nothing better to offer right now. That's not you lacking drive. That's you correctly reading a frozen room instead of walking out into the ice blast, waving a resume nobody's going to salute. So no, the economy's not lying to you, and you're not being dramatic for noticing the disconnect between record profits headlines and your own group chat, which is 90% people either job hunting in silence or performing contentment at a job they're quietly terrified to leave. It's a real measurable freeze. It just doesn't come with a recession-shaped press release, because technically nothing's collapsing. It's just not moving. The economic equivalent of a Windows update stuck at 47%. Everyone's standing around the laptop going, should we restart it? No, don't touch it. If you want more of this, the actual mechanics behind why the economy feels haunted right now, minus the guru voice, subscribe, so future me can keep explaining the vibes with receipts stapled directly to them. Okay. Back to refreshing a careers page that hasn't changed since March. Back to my iced coffee, which is now just coffee, room temperature, a betrayal in a cup. See you in the next one.